9 fascinating facts about Islam Makhachev. What happens if you defeat the best finisher in MMA history? There are numerous things. You first succeed in capturing a UFC championship. Second, you establish your own legacy, one that is measured in years rather than months. And then, if you're Islam Makhachev, you emerge from the shadow of your great coach and establish yourself as a full-fledged warrior and athlete. At UFC 280 on Saturday, Makhachev defeated the legendary Charles Oliveira by submission at 3:16 of the second round to win the vacant lightweight title. Despite having only a tiny edge in the betting, Makhachev controlled the match from start to finish, viciously crushing his opponents. Makhachev frequently receives compared to his colleagues and former UFC lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov. However, there are a few fascinating details regarding Islam Makhachev that we are currently unaware of. Check out these 9 interesting facts about Islam Makhachev. Number 9. They attend the same school. Islam Makhachev and Khabib Nurmagomedov. With Khabib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev has a lengthy relationship. The 29-year-old began training under Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov's instruction at an early age, joining Khabib. Daniel Cormier, a former champion and UFC legend, is now a coach at the American Kickboxing Academy, where he currently trains. Khabib Nurmagomedov has been teaching Islam Makhachev and other AKA fighters since his retirement, spending a lot of time circling him. During his UFC matches, Makhachev is frequently seen asking the Eagle for help. When asked whether Khabib or his trainer, Javier Mendez, give you more guidance, Makhachev replied, "I think Khabib, because they come between rounds and they have 1 minute. Khabib tells Javier, "Hey, I have 30 seconds, I'm gonna say what I want, but you're next." But you know, Khabib has more experience in this game. That's why I think he understands more. Makhachev and Khabib have always been like brothers, and their relationship is undeniably strong. Because of the way the Eagle supports his partner during bouts and revels in his victories, it is clear that they are close. Number 8. Saga of the Meldonium. Meldonium is a medication used to treat ischemia and was a prohibited substance that UFC lightweight Islam Makhachev was flagged for after suffering his first and only defeat in the organization. Additionally, the drug is believed to increase a user's ability for exercise. The drug is an excellent treatment for numerous cardiovascular and neurological conditions brought on by erratic blood flow. The World Anti-Doping Organization WADA added the substance to its list of prohibited substances on January 1, 2016, following the receipt of convincing evidence that athletes had been taking it to improve performance. When former 5-time Grand Slam champion Maria Sharapova tested positive for meldonium in March 2016, the drug's notoriety increased. The tennis pro insisted, however, that her doctor had given her the medication as a treatment for diabetes and a magnesium deficit. Blood Eye Blow reported that in the short time since the January 2016 prohibition, more than 30 Russian athletes have tested positive for the chemical. Among the sportsmen who tested positive for meldonium were Russian cyclist Eduard Bergunov and European Boxing Union light heavyweight champion Igor Mikhalkin. WADA came under fire for failing to inform athletes of the substance's ban in a timely manner in January 2016. Islam Makhachev was later disqualified from his April 2016 fight at UFC on Fox 19 against Drew Dober after testing positive for the drug. The Russian did, however, add that he had taken the medication for a heart operation he had the year before. Number 7. A similar fighting style to Khabib's. Khabib Nurmagomedov was renowned for outshining his rivals. He imposed a torrid pace to establish that supremacy. A takedown always made opponents nervous. Punches were used as an opening move by the Eagle, who then attempted a double leg takedown. Then he would use brutal ground and pound or submissions to kill out opponents. Makhachev uses comparable striking techniques to confront opponents. He is content to continue exchanging blows, in contrast to Nurmagomedov. Additionally, he employs single-leg trips to throw his opponents off balance. The ground game also has a few minor variations. Khabib would try to overwhelm a weaker foe. In order to out-grapple opponents like Nick Lentz, Islam Makhachev has demonstrated a more patient strategy, like he did with Drew Dober. He also enjoys wearing down his opponents. Number 6. The least hit fighter in UFC history. Islam Makhachev is well known for his grappling, especially given his background in combat sambo. But he also has one of the highest stand-up IQs in the UFC. He owns the prestigious title of UFC's history's least hit fighter per minute with 0.77 strikes absorbed per minute. In that statistic, Islam Makhachev far outperforms UFC champions Charles Oliveira, Israel Adesanya, and Kamaru Usman. In his 11-year MMA career, he has only suffered one defeat, which happened at UFC 192 when Adriano Martins knocked him out. In his last bout, Islam Makhachev knocked out Drew Dober in round 3 with 102 strikes and 3 takedowns total. He received only 14 blows from Dober in response. In fact, throughout the course of the 5 fights prior to UFC 259, the Dagestani only took 131 strikes. Number 5. UFC champion in Islam Makhachev's corner. In 2012, Khabib Nurmagomedov made his UFC debut. He had more than a bright future. The lightweight division's opponents were then dispatched by him quickly. He was crowned champion in 2018 after 8 performances that were unmatched. He received training from both his father and Javier Mendez along the way. Daniel Cormier and he collaborated frequently at the American Kickboxing Academy. From a little Dagestani town to UFC champion, the Eagle established a reputation. He was the pioneer who introduced combat sambo and the renowned tenacity of Dagestani fighters to the MMA community. On the foundation that Nurmagomedov laid stands Islam Makhachev. The former UFC champion is on the side of the new lightweight champion. The secret to Makhachev's success up to this point has been Khabib's expertise and experience. Nurmagomedov has increased his involvement in training Makhachev since he retired. Number 4. The second longest active winning streak in the UFC lightweight division belongs to Islam Makhachev. 2015 saw the UFC debut of Islam Makhachev, who defeated Leo Kuntz by submission. His next opponent was Adriano Martins, who Makhachev unexpectedly lost to in round 1 by knockout. He quickly recovered though, and has already won 7 straight fights since his lone MMA defeat. Islam Makhachev's current 7-fight winning streak includes 2 submissions, 1 knockout, and 4 decision victories. His victories over Gleison Tibau, Arman Tsarukyan, and Drew Dober stand out. Islam Makhachev and Beneil Dariush now share the record for the second longest active winning streak in the UFC lightweight division, thanks to the streak. With 9 victories in a row, UFC lightweight champion Charles Oliveira holds the longest active winning run in the category. Number 3. Islam Makhachev has lost inside the octagon. Khabib Nurmagomedov left mixed martial arts without a loss. The riddle was attempted to be solved 30 times, but opponents were unsuccessful. The champion, known only as the Eagle, exuded an air of invincibility. Even the best in the division were no match for the former lightweight champion. Makhachev lost to Adriano Martins in the UFC. The Russian was knocked down in the first round of the stand-up bout, which was entertaining while it lasted. Makhachev swinging frantically had let his guard down. Martins successfully countered with a precise right hook that felled him. Islam Makhachev suffered the loss in 2015, and since then, he has drastically improved. Even his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, has stated, "I think he's going to be one of the greatest fighters ever." Number 2. One of the top grapplers in the UFC's lightweight class. Given how frequently Islam Makhachev is contrasted with Khabib, it stands to reason that he's among the top grapplers in the UFC. Makhachev, who was raised by Khabib's father, Abdulmanap, has spent his entire life owning the craft for which the Dagestanis are most renowned. With a 68% takedown success rate, Islam Makhachev leads the UFC lightweight division. Other wrestlers in the division like Tony Ferguson and Charles Oliveira aren't even close. In his last 5 matches, the Dagestani wrestler totaled 8 takedowns. Islam's 19 victories include 8 submissions. With a 68% takedown defense, Islam Makhachev is one of the finest defensive grapplers in the category. Only Kevin Lee, who ranks 7th in the UFC lightweight category, outperforms Makhachev in this area, 75%. In the course of his MMA career, Makhachev has only ever been knocked to the ground once. This happened when he faced Arman Tsarukyan at UFC Fight Night 149. UFC lightweights are afraid of fighting Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev is a talented lightweight fighter who has won the title now, but there was a time no one wanted to fight him out of fear. According to Makhachev's coach Javier Mendez, Makhachev is regarded as a challenging opponent by the majority of the UFC competitors. Mendez said, "Islam is having a hell of a time getting opponents because nobody wants to fight him. The only competitors at the time who would want to take on Islam Makhachev are either unranked or have a worse ranking than him. Because of the high danger and poor reward of a match like that, elite competitors shun him. When given the chance to fight Makhachev, even former UFC lightweight Paul Felder admitted he was hesitant. Alexander Volkanovski is currently the target of Islam Makhachev. Makhachev challenged UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, who has been persistent about obtaining the chance to hold 2 divisional titles, during his in-cage post-fight interview. What do you anticipate will occur in this matchup?